Okay, good morning and welcome to Just Daf It. We're learning a new Mishnah today. Daf Chaf Beis, number 22, Masechah Kesubos. Talk more about Pesha Asar, Pesha Hitir. Difference between Pesha Asar and Pesha Hitir. Is it a straight up Migu? Is it not like Migu? We're going to explain the difference today in the regular share and, of course, more in depth than you have been seeing. We have a fascinating share for you today. We're going to talk about Shivisi Nafshe Chanticha Di Surah, right? A woman, she can say she's Tmeya, right? She's a Nida, she's a Nida, and then she can reverse it and say she's actually not a Nida, she wasn't a Nida. Technically, if you say you're Tmeya to your husband, you become a Surah to your husband. If you're married, you'll understand that. If you're not married, maybe you'll understand that. But if you reverse that statement and you say you're Tahora, and you have to give a reason why, then you could actually reverse your statement. However, there is a certain Amora named Shmuel who didn't listen to the Psak of the Gemara. Kind of interesting. Some say it was Machmer, some say the Psak is not exactly right. Let's get into it. The bottom, Chav Aleph and Beis, 3 lines from the bottom. Amar Rabbi Abba, Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav Shlosha Sheyashu L'Kayim Shar. We're going to conclude our discussion about Kiyam Shtaros over here. 3 Dayanim sat down. You have to do it in front of the Beis Din. They sat down to sign on the shtar and the Kiyum shtar. It's a separate document that certifies a shtar, which the person, the creditor, is able to use to produce in Beis Din in order to collect his debt. B'kara ir al echad mehem. There was someone who came and said one of the Dayanim is not fit to be a Dayan. Ad shelo chasmu me'idin alav v'chosem. Before they actually sign on this Kiyum shtar, the other 2 Dayanim, if they know that he doesn't have this problem, this psul, that these Eidim, we're talking about 2 Eidim come and say there's a problem. We'll see in a second what problem they find with this Dayan, that it doesn't make him fit to be a Dayan. If they didn't sign the document yet, so these 2 Eidim could testify and proclaim him fit to be a good Dayan. Mishachasma, once they signed already, Eidim alav, v'chosem. They can't testify about him and make him a reliable Dayan. So the Gemara asks, Ir Damai, what are these 2 Eidim saying bad about this Dayan? Ir the Gazlanu, so they're saying he's a Gazlan. Right, a Gazlan who didn't return what he stole, he didn't do tshuva yet. He's considered to be somebody that is Pasal Eidus. The Gemara says, Trey v'Treinu, you have the Ir, is presumably 2 people are saying he's a Gazlan. And these other 2 people to Dayanim are saying, the 2 Dayanim are saying he's not a Gazlan. So it's Trey v'Treinu. Why are they believed even before they sign? The Ira Trey v'Trey doesn't make you believe. The Ira the B'gam Mishpacha, if they're saying that he has a psul in his family, right? Maybe he's a mamzer or something like that. Galoi milsa ma'almahu, right? Even after they sign the document, you could figure out, okay, maybe he's not a mamzer. His parents were really married, you know. The olam emalach Ira the Gazanusa. Really, what the case is referring to is where the 2 Eidim say he's a Gazlan. Gamri Hani Yadin and Bey the Ava Tshuva. And these 2 Dayanim are saying, you're right, he was a Gazlan. But he did Tshuva. Once he did Tshuva, you're no longer puzzled to be a Gazlan. He did Tshuva. You return the money that you stole, so you're considered to be done Tshuva. So therefore, they're more believable in the second set of Eidim. However, if they give Eidas after they already signed on the shtar, then they're biased because they want the shtar to look good. That what they signed as a legal document is actually something reliable. So they're biased. So we're choshish that they're lying about their eidos. So therefore, we don't believe them after the chasima. Amar Rav Zera Milsim Rabbi Abba Shmildi. I heard this from Rabbi Abba. We love Rabbi Abba the Menako Shechata. If Rabbi Abba the Menako, who's a different Amora from Akko is a place in Israel. If you didn't know, Akri. It's called in English, northern Israel. The Ramchal was from there. Shachachta, I would have forgot it. Gimel shiyashu l'kayim hashar. What's the teaching? 3 Dayanim sat to Mekayim hashar. May second them before they were able to sign it. One of them died. Tzrika l'michtav. This technically is valid, right? It's because all the Dayanim were present when they were makabel the edus, that the signatures were valid, but they couldn't all sign on it. So what do you write? Tzrika l'michtav. Most of tlasa havena. So you have to write. There was the Eidim came in front of a Beis Din of 3, and one person is no longer with us. Amar Rav Nachman, Bar Yitzchak, because of a shtar the nad nafak lekadmana beidina. As long as you write that this shtar came in front of a Beis Din, sulot sar, okay, assume a Beis Din. The minimum of a Beis Din is 3 people. The Gemara says, "V'dilam based on Chatzav, the Shmuel, the Amar Shmuel, Shnaim Shadani Dinayim Din Al Shenikar based on Chatzav." Just by writing it came from a Beis Din, we could maybe make the conclusion that the halakha is like Shmuel, that technically a Beis Din of two is valid. It's just called a Chatzav. It's called, to have chutzpah. It's someone who, it's not something appropriate to do to have a Beis Din of two people. Technically, though, it's valid according to Shmuel. How do we know it's not referring to a Beis Din of two people? El Shnikrin based on the Chsibei Beidina the Rav Na'ashi. They say you're right. It came from the Beis Din of the Academy of Rav Ashi. The Gemara says Dilma Rabbanan the Rav Ashi. Because Shmuel spirit, maybe the Academy of Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi was the last Amora. He was the one that finalized the Gemara, and he presumably held that a Beis Din has to be three people, not like Shmuel. The Gemara says the Chsibei, maybe the students in this academy held that the Psak is like Shmuel. The Gemara says the Chsibei Amar Lana Rav Na'ashi. You have to actually write in it. Rav Ashi said this was a Beis Din, so Rashi Pascha not like Shmuel. A Beis Din has to be for people. And Mishnah says Aisha Amra, Aisha Ish Hayisi. A woman she testifies. She says she doesn't testify. And it's not something Beis Din. She just comes in front of people and says I was a married woman. Hayisi V'Grushani. We don't know this woman from beans. We don't know where she's from. She says I happen to have been married. We didn't know that. And then she says, but I'm divorced. Ain't a ne'emena. She's believed that she's muteris to marry anyone she wants. She introduced something. She asked herself without asking for us to ask her, and she martyred herself. The famous case of Pesha Asar Pesha Hitter. However, if we have witnesses that we know that she's a married woman, and she says, I'm divorced, she's not believed to say she's divorced because there's a cheskas eishes, and her edus is not going to be better than the cheskas eishes. Eid echad nema meisurin, right? Eid echad has the power of chazaka. Her chazaka is not better than the cheskas eishes that was created by the Edom. A second case, she says, I was captured by Goyim, let's say, but I wasn't violated by them. Right? She's violated by them. She's asura to a kohen. She's a zona. Right? If she's nivelas to an akum, she's asura to a kohen. She's not Torani. She says, I was never violated. She's nemena. That we didn't know she was taken captive. However, if it's public knowledge, at least two Edom know she was taken captive. Yomeris to Horani, and she says, I wasn't violated. She's not believed. However, since she's an Eid Echad, and there's a chazaka, we have assumption anyone who's taken captive is violated. So therefore, it's her chazaka against the chazaka of the fact that she was taken captive, the fact that she was assumed to have been violated. She says she wasn't violated. Since the chazaka is against the chazaka, so technically we don't allow her to get married. However, b'diavad, if she got married, so then lo seitei we go with the chazaka. Now she's a cheskas married to the new guy, so therefore lo seitei micheskas, so she's considered a married woman. So we don't have enough proof to get her out of that marriage. Amar v'asi minayin lepesha aser b'shehid. How do you know this works? Right, we're going to see it works better than a migu. I'm going to explain. It works better than a midu. Minat Torah. How do you know from the Torah? Shnamar is bisi natali lichazeh. Talks about this. This parsha is talking about the parsha of Motzi Shemra, right, where someone defames a woman and says a father gave his daughter to marry someone, and the man defames her and says that during the Erusin she committed adultery, during the engagement she committed adultery, and he found out the Edom come and say he was lying, so he's a Motzi Shemra. He has to pay 100 coins to the father, and he also has to get malchus, and he has to marry her. So, when we learn from the pasuk, Leisha, a man said, the father says in the parsha of Motzi Shemra, I gave my daughter to this man. Leish Asr. When he says the word Leish, we don't know which man he's talking about. So, because it's a suffix, she could be married potentially to every person in the world. When he says the word Leish, he answered her on the whole world. Misafik Hazeh. But then when he says Hazeh to this man, we believe him. Right, he asked his daughter, and then he martyred her to this guy, Hitira. So the Lam I need a pasuk svara. Who asked her? Who sharila? It's biyodo, right? The father has the ability. We learn in Maseches Kiddushin. He has the father to marry his daughter off, as a ketana. Maybe it was a nara. He also has an ability before she's a bogeris. He has the ability to marry his daughter off. Maybe get the Kesubos Kiddushin. It's biyado. Anything's biyado. We'll learn Masechtas Baba Basra. If it's something is in my hands, in my control, so I'm believed about it. So, and furthermore, there's a svara here. Who asra, who sharila, meaning lachara. What the Gemara means is pesha asar pesha hitter is a svara, right? We're going to explain what the svara is, but pesha asar pesha hitter, it makes sense logically from the Torah. He's the one that introduces, like the Gemara said on Daf Ted Zayin, ain shachar shor shachar lefanecha, like Rabbi Yeshua says, even though he's not normally mode in a case of migo, like on Daf Yud Gimel, by shor shachar lefanecha, ain shor shachar lefanecha, where no one knows anything what's going on, he's the one that introduces the suffix, and then he retracts the suffix and makes her mad mutter. So you believe pesha asar pesha there seemingly is better than migo. The migo on Daf Yud Gimel, Rabbi Yeshua for sure is better. So it's a svara. And we'll explain this more, how it makes sense, how it's better than a migo. I'll explain that more in Yud Ben Sion. But it's better. It's a svara min Torah. Of course it makes sense. What do you do with the pasuk? How do you know a father could answer his daughter, right? Right? He could ask her. He can say, right? She's married to a woman. He asks her on everyone, or he says leish hazeh to a certain person, so she's mutter to that person, but she's asking her on everybody else. So the father has the rights to ask her his daughter. What? So the Gemara asks hazeh lamali. What do you do with the word hazeh? I mean, this pasuk is talking about the parsha of Motzi Shemra. Motzi Shemra only applies when we're dealing with the man that the husband, that the father gave his daughter in kiddushin to, or to erisin, or engaged his daughter to. However, if the one he gave his daughter to be engaged died, right? So now even in a erisin, there's a yavam involved, right? She died without children. He died without children. The husband died without children. He has a brother. So we learned in the Mizrach Zibam, what's his Omed Liibam. So there's no penalty, and then the Yavam makes a claim, and the Yavam, instead of the husband making the claim, the husband passed away, and his brother makes a claim that she committed adultery with somebody else. He's not believed. The whole part of the Moshe Shem doesn't apply to a Yavam, it only applies to the actual husband. She goes and says I was married, and then she goes, no, I wasn't really married, I was lying. I'm really not married. Ne'menes, she's believed. When she says about herself, presumably the din of Shavi Nav Shechad is Medina Eidecha Nema Bisurin, right? You're an Eidecha, you can testify about yourself. By Yisurin, you're believed. By other things, right, to answer yourself, we talked about self-denigration and things like that, right? Modeh b'knas pater, if you're mechayev yourself in a knas pater, a person can't say bad stuff, but incriminating stuff about himself. However, to answer yourself, it's not considered self-denigration. Some people are more machmir than other people. Eidachad is never be surin. So how could she matter herself after that? I'm a Rava bar Rav Huna gonchenasna amasal dvareya. She gave an excuse. She said there was a reason. We'll see in a second what type of amasla we're talking about. She gave a valid excuse to say why she had submitted the claim that she was a married woman when in fact she was not. She gives an excuse, a plausible reason why she said in the first place she is believed. What's an example? She was very pretty. She was Gedola Banoy. She was a supermodel. The Kafsu Alea Bnei Adam, a lot of people running after her. Lakadsh, they all wanted Mekadesh. She didn't have to deal with them. So she said, I'm Mekudeshes. Liyamim Amda V'Kidches Atma. Then she finally found, right? She finally found Brad Pitt. She finally found that guy with the new movie Top Gun. What is that guy? Tom Cruise, right? Tom Cruise came to her. I don't know, Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber is married. I don't know. They came, and these people are not Jewish. Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is also married. I don't know, someone famous, some celebrity. The Kidsha, and someone who was Roy for her, was Roy for the supermodel. And she said, I'm the Kidsha Atma. She's Makadesh herself to the celebrity. Amrullah Chachamim, Maris Lasos Cain. What did you do why did you say in the first place? Right? The regular people, the people that are not cool, are not with it. I didn't want them to bother me. Right? The cool people, the manly men, right? They came. Amati Vikidashi has asked me. Then I was Makadosh myself. Vizu Azu halacha hella Ravach Sar Abir Lefnei Cham B'Ushav Amru Lam Nasa Masal Torah and Amenes. They asked Ravach Sar Abir, what's the halacha? He said she gave a valid excuse, right? She didn't want to be chased after by the regular guys, the regular Bachram in Yeshiva, even the top guys from Tifra. No, she wanted a celebrity. She wanted that guy like Mordechai Shapiro. She wanted the guy. Mordechai should have been married also, but she wanted the star, the celebrity. So the Gemara says, Ba'amine Shmuel Mirav, Shmuel Esh Rav, Amra Tzmeani, V'chazra Amra Tahorani, Mao. This is a case that is very practical for a lot of marriages. A woman, don't tell it to women, but if they want to be angry at their husbands, they can just say, I'm Tameh, I saw Dam Nida, right? She's believed about that. Right? Safra law. A woman is believed about that. Chazra Amra Tahorani, and then she went ahead and said, No, I was just angry at you last night. I didn't see any Dam Nida. Maho. Does she have to go to the mikvah or not? I'm like, Abbazu, Imnasna Amasla Lidvareh Ne'menes, top of Chavbezim and Bez. She is believed. Tanamine Arboim Zimnin Shmuel Lana Lacham 40 times. The Filo Hakli Lav Shmuel Abdu B'Menavshe. When it happened to him, Shmuel, this might actually happen to him, his wife was angry at him. And she said, no, we made up the next night. I wasn't really Tommy, I just didn't want to be with you because I hate you. I hated you last night because you didn't let me get the new dress for $2,000 from Gucci. I really wanted that dress, but So then they make up the next night. He agrees $1,000. I'll get her something from, I don't know, $1,000 dress. I don't know, Ralph Lauren or something like that. So she got the Ralph Lauren dress. She didn't get the Gucci dress, but she was happy, so she made up. So she said I was lying. She gave an excuse. Shmuel would still not do with the Menavshe. He still made his wife go to the mikvah. I guess he felt that really, maybe she was telling the truth. Maybe she really wanted that Gucci dress. Someone really wanted it. Two people, two Adam say that the husband died. One at the end of Mesachas Yevamos, right? About giving Eidos that husband died in order to let her remarry. Two Adam said, no, we know in fact he's still alive. Similarly, you have two Adam say there was a gerushin between a man and a woman, and two say, no, we know in fact there wasn't a gerushin. Say she can't get married because it's trey v'trey. You have to go with the cheskas. She's married. She is an assumption that she's still married to the same guy. But in these days, she went ahead and married anyway, because now she has a new chazaka, she has cheskas ages to the new man, so don't remove the status quo. From Nachum Bar Yossi Omer Teitze, because nonetheless, even if she remarried, she has to leave that second marriage. Amar Nachum Bar Yossi, Emasini Omer Teitze. When do I say? Let me clarify what I said. I only said Teitze Bisman Shabo Edim Ba'akak Nistes. If the Adam came that said she wasn't not in fact Nisgarsha, or her husband did not in fact die, and then afterwards she got married, if she got married based on the valid testimony of two Adam that said the husband did die or there was a gerushin, and then she got married, and then the Adam came and said, no, you're really not divorced, or he didn't really die, lo say. She doesn't have to leave the marriage, because again he would agree that she has a cheskas married to the second, a status quo married to the second, a mifti. So we're going to analyze this. Trey v'trey nino. Right? How could she remain married to the second guy, even if she got married according to Menachem Bar Yossi before the second Adam came? How could she remain married? Trey v'trey nino. Abal leba asham talika. How could they be together? Right? She has a cheskas. She had a cheskas married to the other guy, and she has a chazaka being married to the next guy, but they cancel each other out. And it's trey v'trey. Go back to the Adam, and the Adam also cancel each other out. Asham talika. It's a suffix, right? You can't. If you're Boel, the next guy, it's Safek Ashes Ish. You might be committing adultery. You have to bring a korban. You can't go and bring Mechayiv yourself a korban. You can't be with him and Mechayiv yourself a korban. Maybe multiple korbans. You're with him many times. No, the case is where she married one of the Eidim that said that the husband died or there was a gerushin, where the Eid is sure, the Eid who saw it, so he's barili. The halacha is that you don't bring an Asham Tala, even though Asham Tala, if there's a suffix, whether you ate chaylev or not, and you have chayav achatas or not, there's a suffix, you're machal Shabbos, so you have to bring an Asham Tala. But if you're sure, if you know for sure, let's say other people say this time, you know for sure that to you it's clear, so you don't bring an Asham Tala in that case. Barili, you don't bring an Asham Tala. So you married one of the Eidim, and the Eidim knew that the husband died or that there was a gerushin. Whereas he grew up Asham Tali came out. But herself, Omer is Barili. She says, I trust the aid. To me, it's clear that the husband died, so therefore there's no Asham Tali. She'll let her remain married with the guy. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Yochanan said a statement, it's like the Brisa. You can't get married. When he says lo say, if you did get married, you don't have to leave the marriage. When he says he rules the halacha. Before it was a Brisa, he rules that the halacha is different. If it comes to Misas Habal, so then she doesn't have to leave the second marriage. And Gerushin, she has to leave. So the Gemara asks, Maishna, say, what's the difference? Really, the case is not talking about Shtei Eidim, it's talking about one Eid. Eid Echad Omer Meis Himnu Rabbanon Kibei Trei. We learned that in the Masechus Yom when one valid Eid, I said explicitly there, one valid Eid comes, but Rabbanon believe in like two Eidim. It's like two Eidim. So therefore, the second Eid, who says Lomes, he's challenging two Eidim, and he's not believed, one against two Eidim. We only say Harei Kan Shnayim on the first Eid that come, not the second one. So why does it say only if she got married to the second guy, she can remain married? She could even get married to the second guy. The Gemara answers, Mishun Ravasi, Haser Mimcha Akshus Pez Velazayim Harchik Mimcha. There's a pasuk in Mishlei that you don't want people speaking bad about you, people speaking negatively about you. They'll think, oh, really, she's still committing adultery, so therefore, even though technically you're not committing adultery, it's halakhically 100% okay. You don't want people to say bad things about you, so therefore, it's better not to get married. Seifa, therefore, there's no concept of Eid Echad by Gerish. You need Shtei Eidim. So therefore, both of them combined are admitting that she's married, right? Only one Eid is telling her that she's in Garsha. Havel Echad ve'in v'rav ha'id kamen is Garsha. Havel Echad ve'in v'rav shel Echad Malkum Shnaim. He's one against going against two, so therefore she has to remain Asura. She has to be Teitzei because there's no two Eidim, right? It's not Trei v'Trei. It's two against one. Rava Amar Lolam Trei v'Trei. Really, it's two Eidim saying each way. Rabbi Yochanan Dvar Shel Menachem Bar Yossi beGerishin v'Lo Rabbi Misa. He agreed, Rabbi Menachem Bar Yossi by Gerishin, that she has to leave, right? If she got married after the Eidim came, after the Trei v'Trei was established. Rabbi Misa doesn't agree. My time. What's the reason? Is more makel. He agreed with Rabbi Menachem Bar Yossi by Misa. Misa Eina Yechola Machasho, right? If the husband were to come back, right? If the husband's alive, he's alive. I mean, the husband comes back, we identify him as a husband. So she has to be really sure, therefore, then she can really say barili, and she can remain married to the second husband. No Asham Toloi. Gerishin Yachal Machashashto. By Gerishin, she might not be barili so much because she'll say, even if the husband comes back, I'll just deny that it's my husband. That he'll say, you're not divorced, we weren't divorced. And I'll say, no, we were divorced. So therefore, she's not really barili, she has to get divorced from him. Would a woman deny it? If, in the face of her husband, she goes to her husband in the presence of her husband and says to her husband, you divorced me, nemenes. She's believed. A woman right in front of her husband's face would never, it's an assumption, she wouldn't have disrespect towards her husband to say that he actually divorced her when in fact he didn't. So we believe her. So generally a woman wouldn't say this in front of her husband. That's only when there's no Eidim. Here there's two Eidim that says there was a Gerushin, so therefore she has no problem denying it in front of him. The case is talking about where the Eidim says specifically he just died now, or the Gerushin was just now. If you say the Gerushin was just now, meaning she should be holding on to the get. If it's after they say it happened in the past, right, you can say, oh, I lost the get. Misa lekel lebrura. Misa, you can't figure out if it actually happened or not. Gerish lekel lebrura. Misa the haki hava. If it really was a gerushin, echzilan gitech. Show us your get. The fact that she can't produce the get if she doesn't have a get. So therefore, she has to leave the marriage because she can't say she has to leave the marriage because the two Eidim that said that she was actually divorced is a reyes on those two Eidim. In fact, she doesn't have a get. So therefore, she has to leave the marriage, even not according to Rabbi Nachman, even according to the Rabbanan, she has to leave the marriage because there's a reyes on those two Eidim. Those two Eidim look bad over here that said there was a gerushin. There's evidence there's no gerushin, so therefore the first Eidim that said there was no gerushin are more believed over here. It's the conclusion of today's shir. Stay tuned for a discussion of the difference between a Pesha Asar, Pesha Itir, as opposed to Migo. It's a very important shir in understanding these two concepts. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned. Coming up next.